Welcome to YB Are the Sword and the Story, where we bring to life the epic tales of history's greatest warriors and their timeless wisdom. I'm Sharik, your storyteller, and today we embark on a monumental journey through the life of Alexander the Great series, the Unconquered Warrior. From his rise as a young king in Macedon to his legendary conquests across the Persian Empire, Central Asia, his early life was shaped by a unique confluence of intellectual rigor, martial training, and a vision of global dominion instilled by his parents, King Philip II and Queen Olympias. Macedon, a rugged kingdom in northern Greece, was undergoing a transformation under Philip's rule. Philip ensured his son was exposed to military life early, teaching him the intricacies of strategy, logistics, and diplomacy. By the age of 16, Alexander was already commanding troops, most notably during Philip's campaign against Byzantium, where he governed Macedon in his father's absence and quelled a Thracian rebellion. This early responsibility honed his leadership skills and demonstrated his ability to inspire loyalty, evolving from a peripheral state into a military powerhouse. Philip's reforms, including the creation of the phalanx formation soldiers, revered him for leading from the front, sharing their hardships and treating them as comrades. His vision of a unified world under his rule, inspired by Homeric ideals of heroism and Aristotle's cosmopolitanism, fueled his ambition. This first phase of his life established Alexander as a warrior king whose intellect and martial prowess were unmatched, setting the stage for his unparalleled conquests. Philip's assassination in 336 BCE, possibly orchestrated by political enemies or even Olympias, thrust the 20-year-old Alexander onto the throne. Alexander's response was decisive. He marched south, razed Thebes to the ground, and subdued the Greek League, ensuring their loyalty through fear and diplomacy. This campaign marked the beginning of his reputation as a warrior who combined speed, strategy, and psychological warfare. His ability to project power while maintaining alliances showcased his diplomatic acumen. His ascension was met with skepticism. Many of Philip's allies and vassals doubted the young king's ability to maintain Macedon's dominance, yet Alexander quickly proved his mettle. He secured his throne by eliminating potential rivals, including members of the Macedonian nobility, in a series of swift and ruthless moves. And a professional standing army laid the foundation for Alexander's future conquests. However, it was Alexander's upbringing that forged his indomitable spirit. In India, this saga explores Alexander's unparalleled courage, strategic genius, and vision of a united world. He defeated the Illyrians and Thracians, securing Macedon's northern borders. These victories were not merely military, they demonstrated his ability to adapt to diverse terrains and enemies, a skill that would define his later conquests. By 334 BCE, Alexander was ready to embark on his grand ambition, the conquest of the Persian Empire, a vision inherited from Philip, but expanded to mythic proportions by Alexander's own imagination. His education was entrusted to Aristotle, one of the greatest philosophers of antiquity. Under Aristotle's tutelage at Mysa, Alexander studied philosophy, science, literature, and politics, developing a worldview that blended Greek intellectualism with a deep curiosity about other cultures. This education was not merely academic. It instilled in him a belief in his own destiny as a leader of men. Aristotle's teachings on ethics and governance shaped Alexander's approach to leadership, emphasizing the balance between power and justice. Join us as we unravel his triumphs, challenges, and enduring legacy in a narrative that blends the sword of battle with the power of story. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and step into the saga of a warrior who reshaped history. Alexander the Great. The Unconquered Warrior Alexander III of Macedon, born in 356 BCE in Pella, was destined to become one of history's most formidable warriors. From a young age, Alexander displayed exceptional promise. Parallel to his intellectual training, Alexander was immersed in the art of war. Alexander's relationship with his father was complex, marked by admiration and rivalry. The Greek city-states, sensing weakness, rebelled under Thebes' leadership. Alexander's early campaigns in the Balkans further solidified his authority. His personal qualities, charisma, courage, and an unrelenting drive set him apart. In 334 BCE, Alexander launched his campaign against the Persian Empire, ruled by Darius III, a colossus that spanned 3 continents. With an army of approximately 40,000 infantry and 5,000 cavalries, Alexander crossed the Hellespont, beginning a campaign that would redefine the ancient world. His first major victory came at the Battle of Granicus, where he faced a Persian Satrapal army. Alexander's bold charge across the river, leading his companion cavalry, shattered the Persian line and established his reputation for personal bravery. The victory at Granicus opened Asia Minor to Alexander. He systematically dismantled Persian control, liberating Greek cities along the Ionian coast while neutralizing Persian naval bases. Outnumbered by Darius's vast army, he used terrain, feigned retreats, and a decisive cavalry charge to rout the Persians. He adopted Persian customs, such as pyrokinesis, and appointed satraps from local nobility, balancing Macedonian and Persian interests. This policy, while pragmatic, caused tension among his Macedonian troops, who viewed it as a betrayal of their cultural identity. Yet, Alexander's vision of a fused Greco-Persian empire was revolutionary, reflecting his belief in cultural synthesis. Darius' second flight marked the effective end of organized Persian resistance. Alexander captured Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the heart of the Persian Empire. His decision to burn Persepolis' palace, possibly as a symbolic gesture, sparked debate among historians about his intentions. Was its vengeance or a signal of a new order? His policy of appointing local governors while maintaining Greek cultural influence laid the groundwork for his vision of a Hellenistic world. Facing Darius III's massive army, Alexander employed a brilliant flanking maneuver, targeting the Persian king himself. His relentless pursuit of Darius, who was eventually murdered by his own satraps, underscored his determination to claim the Persian crown. By 330 BCE, Alexander was not merely a conqueror, but the ruler of an empire stretching from Greece to Central Asia. Darius fled, leaving his family and vast treasures behind. This victory not only showcased Alexander's tactical genius, but also his ability to exploit psychological weaknesses in his enemies. His humane treatment of Darius's family won him respect among Persian nobles, sowing seeds of division. The siege of Halicarnassus tested his ingenuity as he adapted siege warfare techniques to overcome formidable defenses. The Battle of Issus in 333 BCE was a turning point. Alexander's march through the Levant was marked by strategic sieges, notably at Tyre and Gaza. The 7-month siege of Tyre, a heavily fortified island city, demonstrated his engineering prowess and determination. By constructing a causeway and deploying innovative siege towers, Alexander breached Tyre's defenses, cementing his reputation as an unstoppable force. His conquest of Egypt in 332 BCE was relatively bloodless, as the region, disillusioned with Persian rule, welcomed him as a liberator. Founding Alexandria, one of many cities bearing his name, he established a cultural and economic hub that would endure for centuries. The Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE was Alexander's masterpiece. Alexander's ability to integrate Persian elites into his administration was a hallmark of his rule. This phase of his conquests showcased his strategic versatility, from open field battles to prolonged sieges, and his ability to govern vast, diverse territories. With the Persian heartland subdued, Alexander turned east, driven by an insatiable desire to conquer the known world. The campaigns in Central Asia and India from 330 to 326 BCE tested his endurance and adaptability against guerrilla warfare, harsh terrains, and logistical challenges. Local warlords, such as Spitamines, employed hit-and-run tactics, frustrating Alexander's conventional strategies. By scaling cliffs under cover of night, his troops captured the stronghold, showcasing his ability to inspire superhuman efforts from his men. These campaigns, however, strained his army, as years of continuous warfare and harsh conditions eroded morale. Alexander's execution of loyal generals like Sphelotus and Parmenion for alleged conspiracies reflected growing paranoia and the pressures of command. His adoption of Persian regalia and divine honors alienated his Macedonian core, sowing seeds of discontent. The eastern campaigns expanded his empire to its zenith, but exposed the fragility of his overstretched forces and the challenges of governing a multicultural empire. He adapted by decentralizing his forces, establishing garrisons, and founding cities to secure supply lines. His marriage to Roxana, a Bactrian noblewoman, was a strategic alliance to pacify the region, further blending Macedonian and local elites. His exhausted troops, battered by monsoons and fierce resistance, refused to march further at the Hydaspes River. Alexander, devastated, acquiesced, marking a rare moment of compromise. His return journey through the Bedrosian Desert was a logistical disaster, thousands perishing due to heat and starvation. Yet his ability to endure alongside his men preserved their loyalty. The pursuit of Bessus, Darius' betrayer, led Alexander into Bactria and Sogdiana, regions marked by tribal resistance and rugged landscapes. The campaign in Central Asia was unlike his earlier conquests. The siege of the Sogdian Rock, a seemingly impregnable fortress, exemplified Alexander's ingenuity. In 327 BCE, Alexander invaded India, seeking to surpass the mythical boundaries of the world. The Battle of Hydaspes in 326 BCE against King Porus was one of his most hard-fought victories. Facing war elephants and a monsoon-soaked battlefield, Alexander's tactical brilliance shone through. His use of cavalry to outmaneuver Porus' forces and his respect for the defeated king, whom he reinstated as a vassal, demonstrated his ability to combine martial prowess with diplomacy. The Indian campaign, however, marked the limits of his ambition. This phase highlighted Alexander's resilience and adaptability, but also his growing hubris. By 325 BCE, Alexander ruled an empire stretching from Greece to India, encompassing diverse cultures, languages, and traditions. Governing this vast domain required administrative genius, and Alexander's policies were as revolutionary as his conquests. He established over 20 cities, named Alexandria, each serving as a center of trade, culture, and Hellenistic influence. These cities facilitated the spread of Greek language, art, and philosophy. Laying the foundation for the Hellenistic age, Alexander's administrative strategy blended Macedonian and Persian systems. He retained Persian satraps in key regions, ensuring continuity, while placing Macedonian overseers to maintain loyalty. His policy of cultural fusion, including mass weddings at Susa, where Macedonian officers married Persian noblewomen, aimed to create a unified ruling class. His successors, the Diadochi, lacked his charisma and vision, leading to the empire's fragmentation after his death. This phase of his life highlights the paradox of his rule. Warrior king whose conquests reshaped the world, but whose empire was inherently unstable without his presence. However, this integration sparked resentment among his Macedonian troops, who felt their traditions were being eroded. The mutiny at Opis in 324 BCE was a critical moment, and his reliance on personal charisma to hold the empire together was unsustainable. His plans for further conquests, potentially targeting Arabia or the Western Mediterranean, were cut short by his deteriorating health. The strain of constant warfare, combined with heavy drinking and injuries, took a toll. Macedonian veterans, resentful of Alexander's Persianization policies and the integration of foreign troops into elite units, rebelled. Alexander's response was masterful. He discharged the veterans, offering them wealth and honors, while demonstrating his reliance on new recruits. His emotional appeal, reminding them of their shared conquests, restored unity. But the incident underscored the tensions within his empire. Alexander's adoption of divine honors, possibly inspired by Persian and Egyptian traditions, further complicated his rule. While some historians view this as a pragmatic tool to unify diverse subjects, others see it as evidence of megalomania. His demand for pyrokinesis, a Persian custom of bowing before the king, detonated traditional Macedonians who viewed it as sacrilegious. The conspiracy of the pages, a plot by young Macedonian nobles to assassinate him, reflected growing discontent among the elite. Logistically, maintaining the empire was a monumental challenge. Alexander's relentless campaigns left little time for consolidation. Alexander's vision of a cosmopolitan empire was ahead of its time, but but its implementation was fraught with challenges. Alexander's death in Babylon in 323 BCE, at the age of 32, marked the end of an era. His sudden illness, possibly malaria, typhoid, or poisoning, remains a subject of historical debate. Despite its fragmentation, Alexander's empire left an enduring legacy. The Hellenistic kingdoms that emerged spread Greek culture across the Near East, influencing art, architecture, and science. Cities like Alexandria in Egypt became centers of learning, preserving knowledge through institutions like the Library of Alexandria. His final days were marked by fever and weakness, yet he continued to plan campaigns, including an invasion of Arabia. His life inspired countless works, from ancient epics to modern films. I'm Sharik, and together we've traced the extraordinary life of Alexander the Great from his rise as a young Macedonian king to his conquests across the Persian Empire, his trials in Central Asia and India, and the enduring legacy that continues to captivate the world. His story of courage, strategic brilliance, and visionary ambition teaches us the power of leadership and perseverance. His story resonates because it encapsulates the human struggle between aspiration and mortality. Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know which warrior story you'd like to hear next. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe to YBR The Sword and the Story, hit the notification bell, and share our channel with friends to join us in exploring history's greatest tales of valor and wisdom. Until the next story, let the sword of courage and the power of story guide you forward. As a warrior, his courage and tactical brilliance place him at the pinnacle of military history, a legacy that endures over to millennia after his death. His death left a power vacuum, as he named no clear successor, famously stating, his empire should go to the strongest. The immediate aftermath was chaotic. His generals, the Diadochi, divided the empire, leading to decades of warfare. Alexander's military innovations, his use of combined arms, rapid mobility, and psychological warfare set a standard for future commanders. His ability to inspire loyalty, even in the face of insurmountable odds, remains a case study in leadership. Historians like Arrian and Plutarch, writing centuries later, portrayed him as a figure of mythic proportions, blending fact with legend. His ability to synthesize Greek and Eastern cultures was revolutionary, yet his empire's collapse suggests the limits of his vision. Modern historians view him as a complex figure, a warrior whose bravery and strategic genius were unmatched, but whose hubris and inability to consolidate his gains left his achievements vulnerable. His cultural impact was profound. The spread of Koine Greek facilitated communication across diverse regions, while his policies of cultural integration laid the groundwork for a more interconnected world. However, his reliance on conquest and personal rule limited the longevity of his empire. Critics argue his destruction of cities like Thebes and Persepolis and his relentless drive for conquest caused unnecessary suffering. Was he a visionary who sought to unite the world, or a conqueror driven by personal ambition? In popular culture, Alexander remains a symbol of ambition and heroism. Thank you for joining us on YBR The Sword and the story for the epic journey of Alexander the Great, the Unconquered Warrior. Now, it's your turn. What did you learn from Alexander's saga?